Welcome to Living the Music. This is where we uncover hidden lessons in classic songs. Today we're looking at, I think, an all-time classic from Bob Dylan called Blind Willie McTell. My intention with this video is to turn you on to this song, if nothing else. In case you haven't heard it, you need to hear this. It's going to blow your mind. And if you have heard it, maybe you go back to it again and you hear it in a different way. So it's music appreciation in some sense, but also I want to attempt to derive Bob's message from this song. Yes, he's telling us about the ills of slavery, the horrors of slavery, but is he telling us something else or inviting us to something else? I say yes, and I'll get to that. In terms of this song, I believe it was recorded in the early 80s. I want to say 1983. Now, this song, as I say, it's about slavery. It's a condemnation of slavery, of course, but it's filled with incredible imagery. Bob is really at his best lyrically here. I believe he puts you in this scene in or series of scenes in a really evocative way that you just can't help but smell it and taste it and see it and feel it. It's like, like any good writer, he engages all of your senses, and so, although it's him singing it and it's a piece of music, you're actually put into that historical space, and he does it brilliantly. So I won't go through all the lyrics, but just to touch on a few of them. He starts off by saying, "I seen the arrow on the doorpost saying this land is condemned." Ooh, powerful opening. We can just imagine that arrow slashing through the air into the doorpost. This land is condemned. The stars above the barren trees was his only audience. Hear the crackling of the whips. Smell that sweet magnolia blooming. See the ghosts of slavery's ships. I can hear them tribes a moaning. Hear that undertaker's bell. And then this harrowing scene where there's a woman by the river with some fine young handsome man. He's dressed up like a squire, bootleg whiskey in his hand. We know where that's going. And then there's a chain gang on the highway. I can hear them rebels yell. And finally, he comes around to sort of his summary, and he says, God is in his heaven, and we all want what's his, but power and greed and corruptible seed seem to be all that there is. And then he finally brings it back to himself, and he says, I'm gazing out the window of that old St. James Hotel. And then he comes to the refrain of, and I know no one can sing the blues like Blind Willie McTell. Blind Willie McTell, by the way, apparently is a blues artist from the early 20th century in Georgia. I'm not familiar with his music, very, very roots oriented, I'm sure. But he's a great symbol here for Bob to keep coming back to. No one can sing the blues like Blind Willie McTell. Now, of course, like any good music, you gotta hear the music. It's just me reading these lines is a pale substitute at best. But that's what I'm doing here. I'm pointing you back to the music, but I want you to really like listen in a really engaged way. Now, what I get from this song, of course, to begin with, is the pain and the suffering and the evil of slavery that corrupted so many thousands and millions of people and devastated millions of people, and it's just a terrible scar on humanity. And it shocks me, but I have to come to grips with that slavery still exists in this world, in many parts of the planet, and it's just we there's so much evil and maliciousness that humanity has a long ways to go before it outgrows it. Now, I think what Bob's saying in this song, among other things, is look, bring your courage, summon your courage, find your courage so that you don't let this happen again in our land. Whatever form of slavery or oppression, racism, uh, prejudice, however that's manifesting itself, have the courage to be pissed off about it, to be outraged by it, and then if it comes to it, to do something about it, because it's a sickness and we can't allow it. Now, that of course makes us think of national events and protests and rallying and things like that. But also from a personal level, I think we can look deeper and we can ask ourselves, to what extent are we oppressing other people? Maybe not literally enslaving them, but are there ways that we operate with people where we're taking away their power, where we're disenfranchising them in certain ways, like whether to prop ourselves up or just blindness and not really paying attention. It can be very easy to take people for granted, or worse, to sort of walk over them on the way to whatever goal we're after. So, yeah, institutionally, it's a sickness, it's an evil, but institutions, of course, are ultimately run by human beings, by individual human beings, and so whatever those institutions represent probably comes from whatever's within the individual human beings to begin with, within the character of you and me, more or less. So again, I think it's a summons to our courage and to take on the slavery we see in the world, but also to be cautious and aware of the ways that we, quote unquote, so to speak, kind of can enslave others, or if you get my meaning, we can take away the power of other people, or try to, and that may be something we really want to reconsider, because if we're on the other side of that, I think we'd agree we wouldn't appreciate it. So there you have it. Go listen to Blind Willie McTell. Subscribe to my channel for more insights on music and life. It only takes like 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button. I would really love to have you on board and know that you're into this kind of analysis of music and life, and we can go on this journey together for many more videos to come. Give us a like too, if you would, and love to hear your comments. Have you heard this song? Do you like this song? Does it touch you? Are you going to listen to it now? Tell me what you think. All right. Until the next video, take care.